Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
Well, precious metals, that's where the action's been at so far this year. End of last year, starting the beginning of this year, they've pretty much gone up nonstop. The 30-day change, gold's been up $76. Here to talk about it, we got David Morgan. David, welcome back to the show.
Kerry, it's great to be back.
Hey, so what's changed in the past 30, 45 days that has put the shine back in the precious metals?
Well, the price has changed. I'm not trying to be funny here, but the last couple of years, in fact, the third, meaning 2011, 12, and 13, gold and silver sold off into the final days of the year. In other words, the very tip end of December. And that's unusual because the seasonality for the metals is usually still some strength going into the end of the year, and then that follows through in the beginning of the next new year. But it's very easy to move markets at any time, and particularly when the volumes are low and a lot of traders aren't in place, which is true at the end of the holidays, the end of December. So I forecast that we would probably see very good weakness into the end of the year. We pretty much did. They started to strengthen up a little bit. But this year, there's been a lot of fresh buying, particularly in the mining shares. I mean, some of the mining shares that we follow are up over 100%. And silver is up 10% as we're doing a show in mid-February. So a move of 10% is a nice move for, a month and a half, but certainly a 100% move. And I'm not saying all these juniors, but this is one particularly. In fact, it's up more than 100%. And that's not unique. There are several that are up, 40, 50, 60%. So, in fact, the gold mining index of the sector is the highest flying one so far from the beginning of the year. So if you match it against the S&P or the energy industry or clothing or manufacturing or autos or airlines or whatever sector you want to look at as a whole, the gold sector, the gold mining sector, is doing better than any other of those categories. So that means that a lot of the followers on Wall Street that basically follow trends, they're not leaders, they're followers, know that, and they're watching that. So the possibility exists that some of these will say, still pretty low, it's starting to move. The S&P looks like it's stalling out. Maybe what we should do is move some of this general equity money into the mining sector. So I'm not saying this is going to continue to go up, 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 and up, but I do think it will do better throughout 2014. There'll be some ups and downs along the way, of course, but it's very interesting to see it do this well. Not catching me by surprise, although, for my paid members and, of course, people that follow me on the public, like doing the show that I'm doing with you right now, look, we were buying as things were coming down for quite some time and trying to find value in the sector. And quite honestly, a few of these, we really thought we had fundamental facts that were so strong that these things couldn't have really done that poorly from where we, recommended them. And honestly, some have. But where we sit right now, just a little ways into 2014, several of these are above the recommended price. Certainly not all of them, but many of them. So again, not to brag, a fact is a fact. And the fact is that our picks seem to be doing exceedingly well. And that's a bit of a relief for me because, that's what we do. I mean, this is, part of what we do. Obviously, we talk about the metals themselves and the economy overall. And, we do recommend specific bullion dealers from time to time and that type of thing. But overall, we look at the global economic picture, the currency crisis, and the resource sector.
Yeah, and the dollar's kind of holding pretty steady, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hanging in around the 80 level. And, it's really tough to smash the dollar. I mean, I have for years, and there's lots of good fundamental reasons to do that. But, it still remains the reserve currency. Its petrodollar status is waning. There's lots of conversions to oil with China in particular and other nation states that are not settling in dollars for trading oil, and that will continue. Once that comes to more of an end than it already is, once that trend continues and accelerates, the dollars will be less and less important in the global financial system, and that means that the standard of living will become lower and lower for a lot of Americans that haven't prepared themselves for a financial reset. And that financial reset will mean that the dollar will be purchasing less and less, so that means higher prices. If you own gold, the prices will probably be, in terms of gold, less. In other words, you'll have deflation relative to the gold that you hold, but inflation relative to the paper money that you hold. So the amount of money that's in the system that's invested in gold and silver is pathetically small relative to the amount that the paper pushers have provided to the marketplace over the last 100 years, really.
Yeah, and we're seeing, as a result of the blowout in precious metals prices over the past 2 years, we're going to see for the next several years decreased production of gold and silver, aren't we?
Well, yes, you will. But if the price snaps back, let's say by the end of 2014 that my forecast is correct, and you see silver above 26 and gold above 1550, that's a good enough price for a lot of miners that are marginal right now. And a lot of these mines don't close down right away because it's actually cheaper to run them at a loss than it is to close them down and restart them. There's a lot of reasons for that, and don't have time to go into it. So the curtailment of production is a fact, but will it continue for years or not remains to be seen. We can't really determine that yet because we really don't know the future price yet.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of like a nuclear power plant. It's a lot more trouble to shut the thing down just because you're losing money and then restart it with all the maintenance and all the costs. You're better off just letting it run and lose money than you are shutting it down and then having to restart it at some point. You got these sunk in costs. So there's economic reasons why you just keep producing, even though you're losing on every ounce produced. So, yeah, makes a lot of sense. But protecting you and your financial future, which, hey, we're the Financial Survival Network. That's what we deal with every day. You're running out of options. You're running out of time, which is really why you need to go to the Liberty Mastermind Symposium that we're having later this week in Vegas at the Embassy Suites Hotel Conference Center, non-gaming, because we don't want you wasting any of your money playing games that you have to lose, which is just what Wall Street wants you to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think our sector is risky enough, and all stocks are risky, of course. But yeah, I think it's a very good setup. I mean, last year Elijah Johnson was there. I mean, this kid is young and brilliant, in my view. Andy Hoffman was there last year. Seeing him, Alan Butler. I do Alan's show weekly. It'll be great to see him in person. Wayne Allen Root, who I've watched several of his videos. Of course, the inevitable, great Robert Ian, in MC primarily. Jerry Robbins was there last year, and you have a lot of new guests as well. Trace Meyer, I know him and met him very early on when he started speaking in public. So it's going to be great, and all these guys have a little bit different, take on things. There's a lot of controversy, meaning that a lot of people say, no, the economy is great. You don't hear a lot of mainstream, but you hear a lot of different thoughts. Greg Manarino, I think it's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He's great. I mean, I watched him on USA Watchdog a few times. So I'm really looking forward to being there, and I get as much out of this conference listening to the other guests probably as much as any conference I go to. So it's something not to be missed. I really, really enjoy this conference.
Hey, same here. Get as much out of it as put into it, and there's so many different takes on what's happening. And it looks to me, perhaps, I think you'll agree, things are speeding up here. Whatever we're heading towards is getting closer, and the disruptions, the dislocations, the instability of the system it's just speeding up. It seems that we're losing control, and whatever is going to happen, the day of judgment, if you will, is just rapidly approaching.
I agree. I think that things are speeding up. This is typical of the end of empire. Near the end, it does accelerate. There's a small percentage of people that really understand what's going on and maybe have taken some steps to prepare. But then it's the old, this is an overused thing, but it's the 100th monkey effect, if you want to use that terminology. But there's a certain point, a tipping point, if you will, that happens. And this is where all of a sudden the wake-up factor, I'll call it, accelerates. And as that accelerates, the system is accelerating to the downside, meaning that they can't fool all the people all the time. Some of the people are waking up and more, and as they do, they will do measures to protect themselves. I mean, there is a survival instinct. I think most people believe that, and I propose that there is a financial survival instinct as well. So once people decide that they rather own something tangible than a piece of paper, which is, of course, taking place in India, and they're buying gold hand over fist, well, the Indian government, of course, tries to control their population, so they put this tax on it. So what do? Well, one, they smuggle it in, and two, a lot of them switched to silver. So the imports in 2013 going into India were significantly higher than they'd been for some time because they put this tax and tried to curtail the demand to get out of the rupee. And that's just one currency. But when it happens to the dollar, it's going to be a monumental event that's never taken place before, because there's never been in all of recorded history the global reserve currency that's failed. And this is what we're facing. So a lot of people just don't believe it, don't want to believe it, don't understand it. You get some, metals analysts out there that are more established than yours truly that will, make their point. Their worldview is that, it has to go on forever. It can't fail, that people like me are doom and gloomers. But history teaches different. There's never been one that has succeeded. Name one. There isn't.
Yeah.
Addison Wiggins was hired by Bill Bonner to look at all the paper currencies and, determine if any of them, had bowed out gracefully. Those are my words, not his. Who had succeeded? Were there any successes? And he got through, I think it was the letter C, and he already had 500 failures. 100% of the time they fail.
Yeah, it can't work because, we're dealing with human nature. And human nature always wants the free lunch. Human nature, you always want to get something for nothing. And that's what fiat currencies always boil down to. And I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Trace Mayer is the expert on it. But somebody will figure out a way to get free Bitcoins, and that'll be the end of that as well. So I don't know how it's going to happen, but that's the way it's going to work, because fiat currencies, it's man's instinct of always trying to get something for nothing so that you don't have to pay the ultimate price. And that's what we're going to pay. And by the way, I don't know if you caught this in Zero Hedge, but in the month of January, China printed up 3 times more currency units than the EU and the United States combined. So, unless the Chinese decide to back the yuan with precious metals, which personally, David, I don't believe is ever going to happen until somebody puts a gun to their heads, literally, all the fiat currencies of the world will collectively go down the drain together when this thing reaches an end, which brings us to the theme of the Liberty Mastermind Symposium. The clock is ticking, countdown to collapse. No country will get out of it unscathed. That's my point.
Well, very well taken.
And on that note, I will see you in Vegas on Friday evening at the dinner. So if you want to sign up, we still got some seats. LibertyMastermind.us. Go there, sign up now. David, thanks so much for being on. It's always a pleasure with you. Always learn something, and we'll see you real soon.
Great, Kerry. Thank you.
Hey, don't forget your site. Give us the name where we find your work.
It is www.themorganreport.com.
Excellent. And we'll see you on Friday. Take care.
Thank you.
Silver123.net is a Silver Saver program designed to be as simple as possible. For as little as $50 per month, you can set up and create an automatic cost average buying program that will get silver or gold sent to your door on a monthly basis. The first step to creating an account is easy. You will supply some basic information. Next, you will add a bank account from which you will schedule your purchases. Scheduling purchases makes saving easy. Silver Saver is customizable and allows you to control the amount and the date of purchase. Once you are signed up, you are then given your affiliate code. Now you can save in precious metals and also market this program. You can use email, web pages, and multiple forms of social media to share the Silver Saver program. Silver Saver will reward you generously with physical silver or gold whenever someone you refer becomes a saver. Silver Saver not only provides you with a share code, but also allows you to place your own banner ad on a website of your own. Silver Saver is one of the best ways to start saving and accumulating gold or silver, especially at these levels. Visit silver123.net and start saving today.